Honestly, all I want to say right now is that yesterday, basically, I had one of the worst days of my entire life. So you can imagine, if you have been following my videos lately, how unwell Coco has been. And yesterday, on the 8th of January, at around 9:40 in the morning, my Coco has died. Okay, that was very, very difficult because, just an evening before, the night before, he was like, he was relaxed, he was, chilling out, he was acting as normal, and the night before, I took him to bed, I was scared to pick him up because he was so frail this time, so I've just decided to put him on a little pillow, and then bring him up into the bedroom. I did put him on the floor, and as soon as I've put him on the floor, he went onto the bed and he went onto my pillow where he's sleeping. And then in the morning on the 8th of January, I woke up and he was sleeping right above my head, and then suddenly he, like stood up, but very, very slowly, and he just reached above my head in order to touch my face. And he touched my face. And he was, trying to tell me something, trying to let me something know. You see, I think that he was saying, goodbye, because I think that, he felt that he is about to go, that he will go. But I don't want to think like this, so I did not even allow this thought to enter my mind at that time. So I always just look for something else, So I thought that, the way I interpret this to myself, I thought that he wants to come underneath the blanket because that's what he does normally in the morning. And I gently took him and I gently placed him underneath the blanket with me, and he stayed there like about maybe 50-60 seconds, let's say. And then he was quite restless. He got up and he jumped on the floor. And then he went into his litter tray, and I knew it exactly, every time when he goes into his litter tray, something happens to him and it affects his breathing, So I just knew, oh my God, I'm just so paranoid now. And of course, as soon as he went into his litter tray, that was at around 9:40 in the morning, he just basically he had this fit and he started to breathe really heavily. And he had another one of his heart attacks, and he immediately managed to come out of the litter tray, and he was lying on the floor, and he went to sleep on the and then he went, like a minute or two later, he went on top of the litter tray again, and he just collapsed. And I just knew that he's on his way, that he's on his way out, and I stayed with him throughout. I was touching him, I was massaging him, I was speaking to him, I was kissing his head. But what really got me is, because there are quite a few animals I've had that they died, naturally at home. So I know it's very hard at the end, but this is the way I think it's the best way, in my opinion, when it comes to the animals, to let them go naturally, And I mentioned this before, I'm not criticizing anybody. I'm not criticizing anyone. In fact, if animal is screaming in pain and it's terrible, then probably to give an injection to it would be the best solution. But Coco was not screaming in pain. And so I decided to let him to go naturally. But what happens at the end is that they make this noise, like really scary noise. Sometimes it's like really little bit scary cry just before they die, just a moment before they die. They let out this really scary sound. It sounds like a cry, sometimes can be really loud and sometimes can be really quiet. And my Coco, he was making this sound, and it was so quiet and so gentle. And this really got me, because the rest of the animals, they made a really loud noise, but because Coco was always very gentle, he was always very gentle, like really, really gentle cat, very gentle. With everything he was doing, he was very gentle. So just that last moment, it was like a very gentle little cry, and it sounded like a cry, to me it sounded like a cry, and this is something that really, really got me, and so he died. And then, I was just like, as you can imagine, you can't prepare for things like this, and I was with him all day long, with him. I mean, he died, and I put him in a little cat bed, I covered him, and I don't know, I just brought him down from upstairs, and I've placed him next to the little sofa where I sit, and I was sitting next to him the whole day, and I was just trying to touch him as much as I can. I know it sounds crazy. I know he's gone, I know it's just his body, but I'm just trying to touch him as much as I can so I can remember him. I know it sounds crazy, but I did find very, very difficult to take him to the vet, and to do what they do there. And I was thinking, oh my God, I'm just going to have him whole night with me, And then I was like, oh, come on, Sasha, this is crazy, you can't have a whole night, little Coco's body there. It's really, really not okay. So I said goodbyes to him to the vet. And I was just basically like crying and crying and crying my eyes out, as you can imagine. And very, very difficult. But this comes in so many different stages. This does come so many different stages, so many different bits and pieces you go through after. They really do add up to something very heavy, very difficult, and rather enormous to sometimes deal with, because this amount of sadness and emptiness that you actually feel within. And yes, so I was just crying, being really sad, things like that, as you can imagine. And then at around about at around 20 past 9, I remember exactly, at around 20 past 9, I was just prepared to chill out a little bit, relax and watch TV. And this is when it got me. Oh my God, this is when it got me. At around 20 past 9 in the evening, when I decided to relax, when I decided to put some movie on, something really, really good, so I can be completely into it. I don't have to think about what's going on in my life, and I can forget about it for a little bit, And this is when it got me. At around 20 past 9, I just realized, oh my God, I'm going to be so, so, so lonely. I started to feel that loneliness. And I'm not talking about, people in my life. I'm not talking about other cats in my life, like Cressida. I'm not being disrespectful to her whatsoever. I love Cressida to bits, and I always, always will. But it's just because of him, because he wasn't there, I just kind of it's to do with him. I just started to feel so lonely, and I realized, what is coming, I realized what is coming, and I started to feel really down. I started to feel really sad, and it's because, when I would sit down and relax and chill out, he would be there. He would be either in my lap, or he would be rather sitting above me. He would be either sitting next to me. He would be either sitting behind me or in front of me, or he would just be around me. Or I would just simply know that he's upstairs, like looking through the window or something, and I just know he's here. But now suddenly I felt this loneliness, and I've tapped into something kind of, my God, so scary, to kind of remind me what a role he has actually played in my life. When you are in tune with an animal so much, an animal spends so much time of its life around you, with you, you know, comforting you. This animal is around you when you are the happiest. This animal is around you when you are the saddest. Whatever happens, whichever emotion you're going through, this animal is going to make it better. This animal is going to make it better. And this is when I felt it like completely, like, oh my God, I really, really miss him. I'm really lonely. I feel so, so, so lonely, you know. And I you know, because it's just so difficult to explain, because I do have Cressida and I'm so happy and I'm so grateful. But with Coco, it's like a part of me that's gone. You know, this part of me, it's gone now, and I'm missing this part of me, you know. And it's you know, he did teach me things in life that, you know, that I'm never going to forget. He did teach me about unconditional love. He did teach me about so much in life, you know, this absolutely gorgeous, beautiful little animal. So, you know, so this is what I wanted to let you know. How am I doing? I mean, I'm doing kind of okay, you know, I'm fine, but it is a very, very difficult time right now to actually go through this, because at the moment, you know, wherever I look, I see him. Whatever I do, I feel him. Wherever I am, I can sense him, you know, especially when it comes to being in this house. Into whichever place in this house I look, I can see him. You know, it has been 18 years, you know, this time cannot just vanish. This time will never disappear. And he left such a beautiful, you know, footprint on my life that I'm never, ever, ever going to forget until the day I die, literally, you know. And yeah, this is the problem, that wherever you look, whatever you do, you have him on your mind, you know. And I've even, like, what I also find really hard and difficult, not only that I felt so lonely after 20 past 9 in the evening, you know, I realized that my nights and evenings are gonna be so lonely, so super lonely without Coco. And it doesn't matter which people I have in my life. You see what I mean? Please don't get me wrong. It doesn't really matter, you know? And another thing that was absolutely super, super difficult, believe me or not, I was actually able to sleep in my bed last night. I did not think that I'm going to have a strength to be able to sleep in the same bed. And I tried to sleep downstairs in the sofa. I could have gone in one of the spare rooms, but no, something was like kind of telling me, no, go into the bed, go into the bed. There is still bed that Coco has been sleeping in with me for the last 18 years, but it's also that particular pillow that he was sleeping on. I will be sleeping on it right now, you know, and I have other pillows to sleep on, but I don't know. I just wanted to sleep on this pillow. But it was really freaking me out to go into that bedroom. I was so anxious and I was so scared. What am I going to be reminded of? And the extent that this will actually elevate and escalate to when it comes to my emotions. I didn't know how exactly I'm going to respond. So as soon as I went, that must have been at around 2 o'clock in the morning when I managed to go to bed. And I said to myself, I'm just going to go really quickly into the bed. I'm going to turn the light off and I'm just going to close my eyes, la la la, you know. And that's exactly what I did. As soon as I got to my bedroom, I went in really quickly, and I went into the bed really quickly without thinking. I put a head on my pillow without thinking, and I'm feeling very close, and I'm feeling very close to Coco, and I can still feel him, you know. I can still feel him. And it's like, of course, I can feel his footprints on the bed, you know. I can hear things, you know. And the room was so cold. The room was so freezing cold. When there is a spiritual activity and the spirit activity around you, you know, there is always like the temperature change, the temperature drops, and it got cold to the point where I got up and I've checked my windows in the bedroom whether they're closed and or they're not closed, and they were closed indeed, and I just knew, oh my God, he's here. And then I went back into my bed. You know, I covered myself up, you know, I went into the bed, and I was just, I couldn't think about it. I found it very, very hard. And then I went on the internet and I was reading things, reading certain articles, you know, things that I'm really interested in, something that's gonna like keep my mind, you know, going. And that worked for a while. But I just couldn't not to keep on thinking how much Coco actually hated me being on my phone. He hated it. He hated it so much, and this was keep on kind of popping into my mind every now and then. And then I thought, okay, now I need to sleep, you know, I need to sleep. And then I turned the phone off and I close my eyes, and I'm just like kind of, oh my God, I'm just gonna close my eyes. And you know, when you close your eyes, I'm just gonna kind of follow the shapes. Do you know what I mean by the shapes? You know what I mean? I'm gonna close my eyes and I'm just gonna, whatever I see in front of my eyes, after I close my eyes, like, you know, the shapes and things like that, I'm just gonna follow it. I'm gonna follow the shapes and I'm gonna go into it. And this is gonna, you know, kind of tire me out, and it's going to help me to fall asleep type of thing. And it did work. I did manage to fall asleep, and I was like, oh my God, absolutely brilliant. And then another thing, as soon as I woke up this morning, oh my God, as soon as I woke up this morning, that was very, very difficult. Oh my God. So I've been crying as soon as I got up today as well. And I'm sorry because I'm being so down. I'm sorry because I'm being so annoying. I'm sorry because I'm being so negative. But I'm just sharing with you what is going on with my life, you know. And this has been one of the most difficult stages ever. This morning when I woke up, you know, it was like, oh God, you know, I'm sleeping, la la la, and I open my eyes, and it's like, I open my eyes, and straight away, check up there, above my head, you know, because he was always above my head all this time when he went unwell, you know, I just straight away check above. And as soon as I got up, I opened my eyes, and I straight away check, like, where's Coco? Oh God, he's gone. Oh God, he's gone. This is when I realized this morning, and this is what it got me. It like completely got me. You know, he wasn't there, and then of course this puts me in this absolutely, and then of course I just start to feel sad. You know, almost immediately, and there are gonna be so many instances like this that I'm gonna have to deal with, and it's gonna be hard. But each of these instances, it's going to help me, you know, to go through this and eventually feel better about it, you know. But I do know that I have to go through this, but this has been extremely hard. And another thing that happened in terms of signs, in terms of an omen and things like that, you know that fox was always the fox. Well, I didn't mention in my previous videos that the fox is one of my spirit animals. Whether you have a spirit animal or not, that's absolutely fine. I've got a couple of spirit animals, for example. The fox is my spirit animal, and the cat is my spirit animal. These two animals are my spirit animals, and it has been like that always, you know. So it's not surprising that if you watched one of my previous videos, fox started to appear very friendly, unusually and unusually nice, unusually beautiful fox starting to appear suddenly in my garden, around my house, you know. And it started to appear at the time when I was extremely scared that I'm going to lose Coco, extremely scared at the time when I thought that Coco is gonna die, this fox would appear and everything would be fine. And I know for the fact that that fox was a spirit animal, a spirit guide, coming, you know, and guiding Coco's spirit, you know, guiding Coco's spirit away. That animal, that spirit animal did not come as a messenger this time, but it came as like a guide, as a spirit guide, in order to guide Coco's spirit away into another world, into another realm, into another dimension. So when Coco died, you know, on that day, yesterday, on the 8th of January, when Coco died, of course, it started to almost immediately, it started to snow here, and it very rarely snows in London. Very rarely it snows in London. That's my opinion. It's very rarely it snows in London. You know, it started to snow, and then about an hour later, after Coco died, this is like at the time when he died, and about 1 hour later after he died, I took Cressida into my hands and I went upstairs on the top floor. And I was looking, my window is looking towards the nature reserve, and there is a road like this, and it's a nature reserve, and it's a road in between. And I'm looking, you know, towards the nature reserve, holding Cressida in my arms, you know, all sad, down, like devastated that Coco has died, that Coco is gone. And I'm holding Cressida, crying and looking outside, and of course, who appeared? A fox. That particular fox appeared on the other side of the road, trying to cross the road. And I was like, of course that I am going to see that fox appearing, because the fox is coming to guide Coco's spirit away. What I really think is that, you know, the spirit lingers, the spirit stays around for about 3 days. The spirit, when people died or animal dies, spirit stays around for 3 days. So my Coco spirit is around here right now, you know, and I bet he's watching me, you know, and listening to me, and you know, and I bet what I'm trying to say is that I do know that this fox appeared, you know, to come to guide Coco, you know, and I know that in 3 days after, you know, this happened on the 8th of January, 3 days later, I know that I am going to see that fox again. I know that I'm going to see that fox again, because I do know that that fox is going to come back and guide him into the spirit world, because by then the portal for my Coco is going to be open. You see, so this is what I wanted to share with you, my gorgeous people, and I'm really sorry because I'm being so down. I'm so sorry, and I know that probably lots of you, you know, you don't need this sadness, this negativity, and this, you know, downer that I'm bringing, I suppose, with these videos. But I just wanted to share with you what is going in my life, you know, and most importantly, what's happened with my gorgeous, gorgeous Coco. Okay, my gorgeous people, I'm going to continue with my, you know, other videos very soon, very shortly. But at the moment, I'm just going to need a tiny little bit of time in order to go through this.